The Senate had directed the ICT authority experts to present a report to the Senate on the matters that are before the House, especially the question of the use of technology in the voting system in Kericho County. You are conversant with that request?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to proceed and present that report, but first of all, give your full name and the position you hold at the ICT authority and present the contents of the report. You have 10 minutes to do that.
Thank you. My name is Philip Irode. I'm a Deputy Director in charge of Information Systems Security at the ICT Authority. We received a request from the Senate through our PS, Ministry of State Department of ICT and Digital Economy, that they require the assistance of the ICT Authority to look into issues of the Kericho County, to look into the issue of the Kericho County Assembly voter system. Our CEO sent a response to the clerk, that was yesterday, appointing myself, Philip Irode, and my colleague, Joan Mukera, to come and address this particular request. We came in, had a brief, and given that we had not initially received a formal letter, we had to sort a letter to take it back to the office for purposes of the normal guidance as per government protocol through the accounting officer. We later came with the nominations of our two names and looked at the system. This was in the presence of both parties from the County Assembly, the Senate, and of course the Governor's Office. The system that we were looking at is a voting system, which is a web-based voting system. The system is hosted off-premise and out of country, and our initial URL search indicates that the system is published at IP address 178.162.234.23. And from the interactions, which is basically the initial assessment that you do from the interaction with the system owners, it's an in-house developed system where the local staff have developed the system. It is managed and administered by the head of ICT, who is the super administrator. We looked at the system based on the scope of the request that was articulated in the letter. And of course, being professionals within the industry, we were guided by processes which are basically information security frameworks that guide our work. This includes ICT authorities, information security standard, as well as other global information security practice standards. We looked at it, and of course, we had 5 specific questions that we were meant to answer, which we have answered, and the details which are basically as articulated in the report that we have provided before this House. Question 1 was, did an electronic voting process take place using the system? And of course, we have looked at the system based on the logs which you were able to access in the presence of both parties, and we found out, yes, an electronic voting took place using the referenced URL as presented in the report and with the logs that were provided. The second question, Madam Speaker, was, is the number of MCAs who voted on the impeachment of the governor verifiable? This was also based on the logs extracted from the voting module as well as the system events module. And the answer is yes. The number of MCAs who voted to the impeachment of the governor is verifiable. The third question was it possible for any MCA or any other person who had a link to vote on the motion on behalf of an MCA or another MCA? The answer that we provided is no. You cannot vote for any other person or an MCA with the link provided alone. you need to have both the username, which in this case was the IPPD, and the password, which was the ID number. Question number 4 was, how many MCAs voted in the affirmative on the motion to impeach the governor? The number of MCAs who voted on the motion was 33, as was extracted from the voting module logs. Question number 5, which is the last question under our scope of review, was, is there any evidence of multiple voting or other compromise of the voting system or any impropriety in the voting system or process? Our response to this question was, from the evidence provided and the access logs collected from the voting system logs and the admin and system events log module, there is no evidence of multiple voting. Neither is there evidence of other compromise of the voting system and or any impropriety in the voting system and the process. Madam Speaker, that were our findings. Thank you.
As an expert witness, you have been oathed to give evidence and present that report. So you will be subjected to some cross-examination on the report, both by the county assembly and by the governance team. And then we'll proceed on to have questions and clarifications from the senators. So I will now allow the county assembly team and then the governance team. Each will have 10 minutes maximum.
Thank you. Can you allow me to pass? Sir, I have very few questions for you. This exercise was conducted within the precincts of this parliament. True or not true?
It's true.
Were you notified of the people who were present at the time of undertaking this exercise?
Yes, we were.
You did this exercise in the presence of the people representing the governor's team, the people representing the county assembly, and the administrative staff of the Senate. Is that the correct representation?
Yes, it is.
I have 3 substantive concerns regarding the report, then I sit down. Is there any single log that you came across, any log-in credential that you encountered from the logs that voted more than once?
Your question, the answer to the question is no.
Is there any credential that logged in and voted after the 15th of August, 2025?
No.
Let me confirm that. No, there is an officer of court, an advocate, who told this Senate that he actually logged into this system and managed to vote after the 21st. Did you come across that log in the system?
No, we didn't come across such a log in the system because the voting had already been closed.
Did you see the logs used by the admin of the system to log and undertake any activities in the system?
Yes, the logs are clearly marked when an admin logs in and when a specific user created into the system logs in.
Did the admin logs themselves cast any vote?
No.
That is all for this witness.
Proceed.
Madam Speaker and the Honorable Senators, I'll share the 10 minutes with the Senior Counsel Katwa and Wanyama. I'll only ask 2 questions. Mr. Philip, from the logs that you extracted, did you extract any source IP addresses?
Yeah, we have IP addresses within our logs.
Source IP addresses, the MAC addresses. Did you get any MAC addresses from the system?
Which one are you referring to? You've mentioned MAC address and IP address. Which
source one? IP addresses, which is the same as MAC addresses.
Your Honor, those are 2 different addresses.
So you can differentiate the 2, kindly?
Yes. So MAC address is ideally, in a layman's language, like your fingerprint. It is absolutely unique.
Unique. Did you get those unique identifiers from the system?
Allow me to answer the question.
No, I'm asking you a question. Did you get those unique identifiers from the system?
The IP addresses,
Counsel,
yes.
Allow him to answer.
Okay. I need specific answer, yes or no, on the issue of source IP address. Did you
Counsel, let him answer so
Okay.
that you can benefit from that answer.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have IP addresses within our log systems.
The source IP address, did you get them?
Yes.
Did you identify the IP addresses to a certain gadget?
Your Honor, based on system configuration, logs are part of system development, and ideally, most system development prescribe the IP addresses, because ideally with an IP addresses, you have the ability to geolocate where that particular device is.
Now,
a MAC address will not give you a
answer.
geolocation.
Thank you for your answer. So, from your answer, it indicates that you could not tell which location this IP address was from.
It's the opposite. From our answer, we could be able to say where the IP address is from because
Have you indicated that in your report?
Yes.
That it came from where?
We have indicated the IP addresses of the various voters who logged into the system.
Can you identify those IP addresses to a certain gadget, say that this IP address, 41 something, was for Honorable, let's say Anita? Can you say that?
Your Honor, that is not possible with the system configuration as it is.
So from the system that you are working on, you cannot tell who voted for who?
You can tell based on the user ID, which is a unique user ID, and the IP address of the user.
This is not a personal question. You'll remember that we worked together yesterday as you worked on this report, and this is not personal. You became my friend yesterday, and you will confirm to this Senate that we began working on this report at 4:30, you disappeared until 4:30. Is that true? So from the committee, you will confirm that you left the committee room at 2:30 and came back at 4:30. Is that true?
Your Honor, that could not be true, and as I have indicated, we were called here urgently. We came without formal release letters. When we came, we were, invited into the chamber. We were briefed on what the assignment entailed.
No, I'm talking about when we start. We sat.
Counsel, allow the witness to answer, please. You asked a question. He's responding to that question. Proceed, witness.
Thank you. Yeah, so after we were briefed by the clerk's office, as protocol dictates, we have to seek concurrence from our counting officer. I explained to the clerk's office that we need to get an authority to embark on an exercise. This is when I was ushered into the clerk's office. A letter was done while I waited, and I walked with that letter to our CEO's office, advising him that this is the sort of engagement that we have been called to conduct, and I therefore need to be officially released.
Did you require 2 hours?
Well, it wasn't 2 hours, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Witness, expert witness, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions in a few minutes. Just to follow up on the question which my colleague asked you. Who called you yesterday and you left the Senate-sanctioned audit for more than 2 hours? An activity that was time-bound. Who called you to go to that event?
My CEO, Your Honor.
Your CEO?
Yes.
Thank you. What did the CEO tell you when he called you to leave a Senate-sanctioned event?
Well, as I have explained, it is a practice that as a public officer who you have to get approval or express permission.
Did you require approval when the Speaker has already issued a directive and you are in the presence of the House? The House of Senate? You leave the Senate to go. Did you require approval to leave the Senate to go back to your CEO?
I think I was given a letter requesting us for the services which I had to deliver to our office for approval and clearance.
Did you become hostile to the team by the governor, the governor's team, when you came back? Did you become hostile to the team by the governor when you came back?
I'm not a hostile person.
You are not a hostile person?
No.
You asked a specific question yesterday, which he has asked you, and you need to tell the Senate. This question is in the mouth and minds of all senators today. MCS accessed this system using a gadget. Is that correct?
I wouldn't know how.
From your observation, MCS accessed this system using a gadget, whether it's a phone or a laptop or a computer. Is that correct?
Ideally, based on the nature of the system, yes, it's a web-based system. Yes.
And when you access the system, then you need to leave a fingerprint in that system so that anyone else can tell that indeed you left, you are the one who voted. And that is the primary question before this Senate. So the question is, did you find in the system what is known as the MAC addresses for the computers, mobile phones, laptops, etc., which were used to access this system? Did you find?
So allow me to answer that question in a more layman's language for the benefit of the Senate. What happens when you are accessing a system? There is the public-facing IP, and there's the internal IP. I'll give you an example. If we have all access to our Wi-Fi in this building, that Wi-Fi will have one external-facing IP.
Yes.
That IP is the one that channels our traffic to the specific requests that we make onto the internet. By the nature of this system, it has been set up such that it can be able to pick the IP as the unique resource locator for the service. And that is part of the logs that we've been able to collect.
Because of my time, and I appreciate, the IP addresses that you have given to this house are already in the house. The senators have looked at these IP addresses, and some are they have been recorded 9 times. They have interrogated that issue. What they are asking now, at this level, is that MAC address. They want to know, did this MCA vote? Did this MCA A, B, C, D vote? And which gadget did he use? That is the primary question. So does your report contain MAC address, the logs for the MAC addresses? That is the question before the House.
It's a right question.
It is a yes or no answer. Is it there so that I can show the senators that our case has collapsed because the MAC addresses are now in your report, the unique identifiers for the telephone numbers of these MCS. It's now available, produced by the expert, and our case has collapsed. Show me in your report where these MAC addresses are.
I have clearly responded to that question. And the answer is,
the answer is show me in your report. Yes or no answer.
Counsel, let him answer. Counsel, allow the witness to answer. Witness, do you have the IP addresses in your report?
I have IP addresses in my report, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the question is the MAC addresses, the IP address Madam Speaker, I request for 2 more minutes. I'm now on a delicate issue. The MAC addresses.
Granted the 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Respond to the question of the MAC addresses.
MAC addresses are not part of external facing details that are captured within this particular system. The system captures IP addresses. IP addresses can still be linked to a MAC address.
Okay.
Allow me to finish,
Okay,
kindly.
okay.
I'll give you an example. You have your own safe in your house, which is located in a certain location. We cannot expose your safe to the outside world, but we will expose your gate number to the world. Ideally, a MAC address is unique to that house, and the house number is public information.
That begs 2 questions, Mr. Expert Witness, Madam Speaker, I wind up. Two important questions. These MAC addresses, what kind of audit did you do? Did you do a basic compliance audit? Did you do a network security audit? Or did you do a device compliance audit? Because each one has different levels. And maybe as you answer that question, there's a senator who asked here, did you penetrate this system into the NIT so that you extract the required information to complete this report?
So, Your Honor, you cannot be able to do an entire audit within a day. Our letter was very clear. We target our exercise in answering the 5 questions, and we targeted our efforts towards what activities will give us the response or the answers to the clerk's questions as directed to our CEO.
Did you do a search on all these IP addresses to tell the senators that these IP addresses are not located in Nyahururu, Bomet, Nairobi, or Embu? Did you do a search address in your audit?
Your Honor, we did what the question, the letter requested us to do, which was to conduct an assessment that will respond to the questions that had been answered.
Last question, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, last question. The senators in this house, there's a live question which they want an answer from you. The evidence was given that a computer was used at the county assembly to vote for 3 MCS. 3 MCS, a computer was used. The simple question is, did you go to Kericho County, or was this computer given to you for you to ascertain the IP address or MAC address in that computer to give to these honorable senators to clear any doubt in their mind on the verifiability, authenticity, and security of this system? That is my last question.
Yeah, so based on the audit logs that we collected, as we have responded, the system has adequate logs providing verifiability, which is ideally the number of...
The question, did you visit Kericho? Were you given the computer? It's a simple issue.
So the system is a web-based system.
Yes.
For a web-based system, you do not need to physically visit a location. It's available on the URL, unique resource locator, as we have provided.
So what is the
report.
IP address for this laptop which was given in, which the MCS said they used? Can you tell the senators with a substantial measure of assurance, no doubt at all, that I, as the expert, this is the IP address of this computer, this is the MAC address of this computer, so that we clear doubt? Thank you.
I don't think that was part of my request for this
Thank you,
letter.
Madam Speaker. I'm sorry, my time is up.
The question is now actually answered. It's told you. Senator Sifuna.
You know, Speaker, I'm a bit confused by the line of questioning that has been taken by counsel for the governor, because your directive was that all these parties be present during that exercise. Now, when I look at the report, there's a part for people who were present to indicate they were present. Mr. Evanson Kirui, counsel for governor, did not sign. The question to you, witness, was he there? This gentleman called Weldon Kipiegon Lagat was he there? And then, to the counsel for the governor, these things you are asking, did you ask him to do it there, when you are there? And what did he do? And then why would you refuse to sign that you are present? Those are the questions I want to address.
Senator Sifuna, before those questions are tackled, you could resume your seat. Let's take a direction on how the senators will now engage with that report and that witness. Then those questions will be tackled in that session, because that's not an intervention on procedure. It's actual contents and questions to the witness. So, honorable senators, we have about 15 senators who would like to ask questions, and we must limit the time within which this gets done. So we'll have to agree that every senator should either ask just one question, if we have to cover all, and if we ask 2 questions, then we'll have less of senators requesting for that intervention. So we do 1 question per senator. Is that agreeable? We need a consensus. Okay. So 1 question. So you have asked yours already, so I'm not giving you another chance. He will respond. I'm sure he's already gotten the gist of the questions. Senator Chute Mohammed. You take about 5 questions, and then you respond, and we go to the next segment of questions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A witness from the MCA.
Your time is 1 minute, and the clerk, you'll be strict with your time.
10 seconds is gone. Sorry? My question goes to the expert. There was an MCA who gave an evidence that 9 persons, or MCAs, voted from a particular station. That station the number is 41-139-237-129. Did you, in your report, do we have that report that shows that 9 MCAs voted from 1 logging station? Thank you.
Senator Sotsi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have to declare that the witness is my student in my other life, and he's competent enough. But I just want to ask 1 question. Philip, you look at me in the eye. Are you the one who did this report? I just want that answer, yes or no.
He
because from my teaching, this report would have been done better than this, Madam Speaker.
Senator Danson Mungatana, is he there? No. Senator Eddie Okech.
I know this question might have come from the council side, but I'm going to ask it for my own consumption. Did everybody vote on the day of the voting or otherwise, in your best knowledge? And if that happened, then was there people who abstained in the system, or people who voted otherwise no, or everybody who voted yes in the system that you audited?
Senator John Nyoto, that's the last one, then we have answers.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The matter before us and why the ICT expert had to come is because the governor's side has argued that there are some MCAs who voted for others. And so it's very important, Madam Speaker, for the ICT expert to tell us this MAC address is very important, because IP address, as he has explained to us, was the ID number. And if somebody wants, for example, to know my ID number here, they will know it, so they can vote for me. If the only leeway to get into the system is my ID number, it is known, it's in the office. So this MAC address was going to be very important. And Madam Speaker, the ICT expert should tell us about the address where the gadgets that voted were.
Time up. Witness, please respond to those questions first before we take the next segment of questions.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll go by the order in which they were presented. The first question was if the opposing side had their team members present. That is in affirmative. Yes, they were present. The second question was there's an MCA who alleges that 9 persons voted for a particular, 9 persons voted, repetitively using IP 41 something.
You had more questions from Senator Sifuna. There were about 3.
Well, I captured the aspect of the team's availability. Yes, they were available, and they opted not to sign the report. And when we were extracting the logs, we even had concurrence on this report at some point until they decided not to sign it. I hope that answers your question, Mheshimiwa. Number 2 was if the specific IP that appears 9 times indicates that one person voted 9 times. Ideally, as I've indicated, Madam Speaker, this is a gateway, and I think from my basic understanding, most of these county governments have Wi-Fi, and this could be the IP address that have been assigned to the Wi-Fi gateway, and therefore, if at all you are connected to the Wi-Fi, your device is actually assigned that specific IP as a public-facing IP, and therefore, the system logs pick that specific IP as part of the logs. To respond to my senior Senator Osotsi, yes, I'm the one who authored the report based on the timeline constraints that we were given. This is the best we could do in responding to the specific questions that we had. The other question is, did everybody vote on the day or otherwise? The response to that is yes. We have the specific user IDs. We have the specific timestamps, which are within the specific date that the voting was being done. And we have logs of votes done, and of course, the other people who did not vote as part of the logs that we presented. The other question is, were other persons voting for any other person? That question has been answered in our report as question number 3, whereby it was being asked, was it possible for any MCA or any other person who had a link to vote on the motion on behalf of an MCA or another person? Ideally, if you have the link alone, you cannot vote, but you need to have the username, which is the IPPD, and of course, a password which is unique to an individual. Thank you.
Senator Wambua Enoch.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to ask a question where the expert has ended. When you asked by the lawyer whether any system admin would have voted in this system, you said a clear no. But you're saying that if you have the username and the password, you could vote for anyone from any location. So how would you have known that the admins did not vote? Because this username and the password are not computer generated. They have been assigned physically by the admin to the MCAs. How would you know that they have not voted?
Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think that is the question I had because I wanted to know if somebody has the username and the password, and now we have heard from one of the MCAs by the name Berir that he was unable to, doesn't have any internet in his phone, and someone else is working on another phone, possibly you will have forwarded the password and the username. So could someone else be able to log in or even vote using another phone? And that is the question I really wanted to know.
Senator Aaron Cheriot, Majority Leader, did you request?
Yeah, Madam Speaker, I beg your indulgence that you allow me maybe slightly more than a minute. This is the only chance that the people whose county is contesting this matter have the chance to speak in this House. Madam Speaker, I have a question to this expert. My first question is, did the expert really appreciate the assignment that is before them? If they did, I want them, because this is in the interest of establishing the truth, Mr. Speaker, to account for the report that he has brought to this House, particularly Annex 3, page 17 of your report. This case, by the way, boils down to 3 votes when all is said and done. Forget about all these issues about 9 and whatever. Because
Majority Leader, you know our standing orders are very clear. Okay, 2 more minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I was explaining, and this is for even to assist the House, that eventually this case boils down to 3 votes and how they can be accounted for. Because if you read the affidavits of the County Assembly and those of the governor's team, there is a contestation only on 4 votes. The rest are already accounted for. It is only that in one of the votes, Mr. Speaker, that witness has sworn an affidavit for both camps. Therefore, we can choose to disregard. But I was pointing the expert to his report on page 17, Annex 3, to explain to this House whether he is certain and absolutely certain that the member written there as for Cheplanget Ward, for Kapkatet and Kapkugerwet Ward, they are the 5th from bottom, 3rd and 2nd last votes that came him. Whether he can give with certainty that from what he saw out of his audit, that indeed these messages emanated from the registered phones of these members. If that is ascertained, Mr. Speaker, I know how to do the rest of my work.
Senator Onyonka.
Thank you. I wanted to take you back to the question that Wambua had asked. And we go back to page 5, and that is question number 3. You say, the question you were asked, was it possible for any MCA or any other person who had a link to vote on the motion on behalf of an MCA or any other MCA? Then you say no, and then you qualify it by saying you need to have both the username, that is the IPPD, and the password ID number. What you may not know is that when presentations were being done yesterday, we were informed that these names and numbers were freely given to everybody in the assembly. In other words, the private ID numbers and whatever that was being provided for.
Senator Wakoli.
Honorable Speaker, my questions are as follows.
Only one question, Honorable Senator.
did you ascertain that the link that the MCS received on their phones were the same phones that were used to vote, and you can justify the process? Thank you.
Senator Kavindu.
Chair, Speaker, thank you. My question is, if there was clarity about the MCRs who are claiming that their identity was used for voting and they did not vote. And yesterday I also asked a question. There was a Peter who tried to log several times and it failed. And I asked whether he managed to vote at long last. And this question was not answered. So you, as a specialist of IT, did you manage to trace that Peter if he ever voted? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Thangwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question is very simple. We were told yesterday, and I tried to ask the same question, that 9 members voted from the same computer. Can you, Mr. Speaker, request that we have the 9 members try to vote as we see? Then we see how long it's going to take. From there, Mr. Speaker, we'll be able to know how much time that 9 members can use one computer with different IDs, different IPPDs, and they are going to vote, Mr. Speaker. So if you can direct that is being, it can be demonstrated to us how 9 members can vote from one computer, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mogeni.
Yes, when a witness, there is a question that is troubling us, and we want to be sure from your evidence this evening, if somebody has a link and he has a username and a password, can that person vote for another person? You got me? You have got the link, you have the username, and you have the password. Can you vote for another person using any gadget?
Okay, proceed to respond to those, and then I'll have another set for you. Proceed.
Yeah, so the first question was asking whether, as admin, you could vote for an MCA. The answer to that is no. If you have logged in as admin, you need to log into the system as a registered user who needs to cast their vote, because from the logs, each of the MCAs who voted had a unique number that enabled them to cast a vote. The second question is if any other person can vote for the MCA with the username and password. As I have clearly indicated, that is possible only if you have the MCA's IPPD and the password, which is the ID number. And the same answers the last question that has been cast by the senator who just took his seat. There was the issue of certainty based on page 17. And ideally, what we were trying to do here is to provide a correlation. The system has 2 modules. There is the system events module, the system security events module, and there is the vote activity, the voters module. So to address issues of source IP, as had been earlier questioned by the other council, we managed to actually map each of the vote cast with the IP, because this was an aspect of contestation that the logs that we have do not have IP addresses. But from the annex that we have provided here, from the voting module and the system events, you can be able to correlate this based on the unique user ID and the timestamp under which that particular activity did happen. And this is basically to ascertain that MCA so-and-so cast his vote at this particular IP address and this particular timestamp. The other question was, if I have an ID, and it was actually an issue of clarity where I was being told that it is common knowledge that within the county, ID and passwords are already circulated. My response to that is not within my knowledge, because it's unique to the county, and I wouldn't have really known, because it is a culture issue within the county if that is their practice. I was also asked to ascertain the link and the voting process. As a practitioner within this field, we are guided by principles, and just to make sure that we were doing a good job to this assembly, we made sure that there is a checklist that assists the county to conform to standard global practices and standards, as I had indicated within my opening remarks, which is the information security standard, as well as the ISO standards, and any other data protection, as well as computer misuse and Protection Act. So we are guided, and we provided that checklist to the head of ICT for the county, who responded in affirmative, and we have been able to receive some of those documentations to validate our report. So the process of whether to ascertain that the URL that was provided and the voting process, that is a documentation issue which we have been able to be guided by the documentation that was provided. The other question was, we identify the number of users, the identity of users who are able to vote for each other. As I have said, you can only vote for each other if you have that particular MCA's IPPD number and the password. But with the link alone, you cannot be able to do that. The issue of 9 people voting, I think the senator was asking whether that can be a proof of concept within the House. It is upon the speaker to decide. Then the last question was, with the link and password and username, can you vote? Yes, that is the answer. You can vote if you have both 3 parameters together. Thank you.
The question by Senator Richard Onyonka.
I responded, sir.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I think you understood where I was. You were not aware that we had been informed in the in the morning yesterday, that all the MCAs and the other members were actually given the numbers of their colleagues in terms of their IDs and their IP numbers. So if that is the case, is it true, or do you then think it is possible that somebody could have voted for somebody else?
Mr. Speaker, I think with that information where you have user's ID and user's password, it is possible for you to vote on behalf of another person.
Senator Chiranke.
Mr. Witness, I've looked at Annex number 3, page 17, and of course your response. So in this, you can confirm that the 33 MCAs voted in the affirmative of the motion. Is it true? And was the system compromised as per your understanding in your expertise? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boy. Senator is... Yeah, then log out, Honorable Senator, please. Yes, Senator Fak, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. You said that given the fact that the login credentials were shared amongst all the members of the assembly, and that somebody could have voted. For instance, I could have voted for Mr. Senator Issa Boy, and then was it possible for me to vote for Senator Boy, for instance, and also vote for myself, given that I have the credentials of both senators? Thank you.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to refer the expert to page 5, Roman 5. There's a statement there where he says, towards the end of Roman 5, that there is no evidence of multiple voting, neither is there evidence of other compromise of the voting system and or any impropriety in the voting system and process. That statement, in view of even the questions you've had now, that and then the information we now got that there was static IP address inside the chamber, there was evidence of somebody saying that he was going to vote for somebody else. Don't you think this statement was a bit too much? Was it a bit too wide? That it was because this statement is saying this system is totally fine.
Senator Professor Tomojenda.
Mr. Witness, to the point, at page 14 of 22, you confirm that there were no abstentions, 33 votes to the affirmative. Yet, if you look at the logins running from page 17 to the end, there are many failed logins. Would you verify whether the logins were by the MCAs who were voting? Number two, was it a concern to you that all the votes were yes and there was no person voting in the negative? But lastly, is this an agreed report? Because I can see the governor's team did not sign, only the assembly team signed. All the others who signed are from Senate. Is this a report? And lastly, do you have superior qualifications to these other people?
Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Mr. Witness, is it your evidence that indeed, and I want to refer you to page 16 of your document, and specifically bullet 3, voting process integrity. Is it your evidence that despite the fact that we've been informed that credentials of logging in were shared, that then the integrity and privacy of the voting was guaranteed? Then, in bullet number 5 or 6, you said user training and awareness. Evidence provided in this, testimony provided in this house states that there was no training. Is it then your testimony that that training was done? Then the last question was, did you get to see the source code and see whether there was a limitation of the number of people who could vote in a certain string? Was the system in the source code, if you inspected it, geo-fenced, or was it accessible from any part globally? Then,
Senator Crystal Asige.
Thank you very much, Speaker. To the witness, you have clarified that there were about 9 IP addresses that were identical. Can you also verify if there were any others that were identical of the 33 votes casted? And can you verify from that list of 33 votes where each IP address is attached in terms of location?
Senator Kinyua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Philip, because we are here in the morning and we have heard that there were challenges with this system, with the MCAs, and I want to quote Honorable Trump, who was here in the morning. And he did mention that they were being assisted, some of them were being assisted. In the course of assisting, Was it possible that this person who was assisting would have voted for this member without his knowledge, that now that this person does not know this system? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator A.D. Okech. Then log out, Honorable Senator. Okay. Senator Mofire.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is to the experts, and I want to know, as an IT expert, based on your audit, do you have confidence in the credibility and the accuracy of the results generated by the voting system? So at the same time, what could be the reason why we have 9 similar IP addresses and the others are different, assuming that they were all using one gateway, one Wi-Fi? Thank you.
Senator Alan Chesang. Senator... No, proceed, Honorable Senator.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question to the IT expert. Now that on page 5 of your report, you had mentioned that it is not possible, Roman 3. That is a question of Roman 3. You had mentioned that it was not possible for any member of the county assembly to vote for another member. But again, now you've said that it is possible if they have their IPPD address and their ID number. So does that mean that your report, you're not sure of the report that you made? That is number one. And also, does that mean that you can also not assure us that this system is secure? That is number one. And also, maybe you cannot also confirm that you cannot detect.
Senator Paris Tobiko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Witness, being the expert that you are, if you are the one putting up this system, setting up the system, are there other safeguards you would have put in place to secure the system and make it foolproof? If you have other suggestions, if you would have done it differently. Thank you.
Senator Shakil Abdallah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question is, since it has been established that it's possible for others to vote for others, is it possible to establish the gadgets which were used? Because all the phones are registered under certain names. If I use my phone to vote for Fatma, it will show it is my phone which was used. Is there a way to know that it was my phone used to vote for somebody else? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Okenyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also wish to know on how long the system was open to allow members to vote. And finally, how do we know if the 9 people who are voting was one person who was voting 9 times? Thank you.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to refer back the witness to the report. And I note that specifically on number 9, that the following persons were in attendance: Mr. Philip Irode, Mr. Joan Mukeire, the Office of the Governor, there was a council, and then there was an ICT advisor from the Mr. Weldon Langat, including the County Assembly, Alfred Korir Kimutai, Mr. Hilary Kiplangat, and then you had the Senate Secretariat, Mr. Zakayo Mogere, Innocent Baya, and Ms. Marianne Karanja. The question that I want to ask you is very simple. This report, although you are the witness standing there to be able to submit and to present the report, were you the only person who came up with this report, or this report was a joint exercise by all those people who, by the resolution of this House, ended up carrying out this exercise? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ledama, just look at the report. The owners of the report are two, and they signed it in the presence of others. If you look at page 5 of 2022. Nevertheless, the witness will respond to your question. Nevertheless, the witness will respond to your question. Senator Hezana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to inquire from the witness on why there is an IP address appearing to have voted thrice, contrary to the IP address that they had indicated was supposed to be the one to vote. And I take note of that because it has voted yes thrice. Thank you. And I'm talking about the IP address 154.159.237.85. Thank you.
Senator Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my question is on the last terms of reference for Philip. You were told, is there any evidence of multiple voting or compromise? I don't know, did you make use of these particular terms of reference to check if the system can be penetrated by hackers from outside? I don't know if you did, you attempted to penetrate the system so that for our comfort, we know the system is secure.
Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Witness, as an IT expert, whichever way this matter goes, would you recommend the Kericho County Assembly to continue using this system or any other assembly for that matter? Thank you.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you. Mr. Witness, you said that you received a letter from Senate in order for your authority to be able to undertake this process. This letter was addressed to who specifically? Because just need to understand the 2 hours that the council talked about, then who was really addressed, the letter was addressed to who. Then secondly, this report that you've tabled, did it need any consensus for it to be valid? Number 3, do you think that this system for Kericho County is a valid system that can continue to be used? It's a system from your own expertise that you would recommend that they continue using. Lastly, is that the MCAs that were...
Senator Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika. Ningetaka mkurugenzi atuelezee kulingana na MCA, kuna pahali wanasema walitumia dakika 5 wakaongezea dakika 2 ikakuja na singine ikakuja dakika 11. Sisi hapa Senate wakati speaker anataka tofauti anatuambia toa kandi na uingishe na uweke namba uweze kufuti. Na kama imemaliza dakika kidogo, kama haujaweza kuweka la ama ndio, unakuta inaenda inapotea. Hii gadget ya Kericho kwani iko namna gani? Kwani iko tofauti na gadget zile zingine kama haija kuwa tembandi nayo?
Senator Kibwana Hamida.
I can't see. Let me wear my glasses. Let me get my glasses.
Are you reading somewhere?
No, I wanted to.
Don't speak. We need your mouth, not your eyes.
I was looking at the numbers. I was looking at the numbers in the report. Let me wear my glasses. Glasses zangu zimeenda.
Okay, I'm told everyone on my dashboard has already got an opportunity to speak. So we will allow the witness to respond. Witness, I've given you the go-ahead to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try and answer them in the order that they came through. I have quite a number of them. The first one was clarification if at all 33 MCAs did vote. And our response to that question, Your Honor, is yes, it's an affirmative.
Power his microphone and put it closer to his mouth, please.
The first question was if at all we can be able to clarify that at all the 33 MCAs were able to vote within the system. And of course, our response to that based on the finding is yes, 33 MCAs did vote. We've provided evidence for that as per the logs provided within the system. The other question was, and this question has been repeated severally, whether if you have the link and you have the password and you have the username, you can be able to vote. And we have confirmed, yes, you can be able to vote for one another. However, the link was being sent to an individual user MCA. Therefore, once you receive your link, you are able to vote if you only have your username and your password. The other question was, if the system is okay based on the question 5. If we go to question 5, we were asked, the question as was directed to us as ICT authority to respond was, is there any evidence of multiple or compromise of the voting system and or any impropriety in the voting system or process? And I will want us to underline the word evidence. Our field is based on evidence. I have to be able to provide evidence. And the evidence that I collected is based on the logs that the system has no evidence of multiple voting. It has no evidence of compromise or any other impropriety of the voting system. And that's what we responded to, based on evidence. The other question was, from the failed logins. I think there was a senator who asked about failed logins. From the logins, you can actually tell that the system is secure because if you do not have your username and password, it does not let you get through. You need to have your appropriate username and password for you to be able to log in. And from the extracted logs that we have, we had actually even been able to see a number of attempted multiple logins yesterday, which never went through. The other question was, it was on shared credentials. And as I've said, from a practitioner's perspective, we are all taught that your username and password is a personal information that you should not be able to, share. And as senators, we are aware of the Data Protection Act, which specifically guides that username and password, or perhaps an ID, is personal identifiable information, and therefore data that is personal. And therefore, if at all it was a practice within the county to share username and passwords, I think that is a wrong practice. However, from the evidence, and I'll still insist from the evidence that we collected, we were not able to ascertain that level of practice. There is a question on training, source code, and I'll respond to this by saying that within the time limit provided, we were here at 2, we were meant to provide a report at 6, and I have said we zeroed our response towards answering the 5 questions that were posed to to the ICT authority CEO, which meant that we look into the system, the exposed interface of the system, the voters module, the hosting architecture of the system, to be able to gather enough evidence to respond to those questions. The issue of geofencing, that is an architectural issue that perhaps require additional time for you to be able to ascertain whether the code has included aspects of geofencing. There's also a repeated issue about the 9 IP addresses, and as I have earlier responded to, is that these IP addresses are ideally a gateway for the county assemblies local LAN, that is local area network, or Wi-Fi, if that is what the MCAs use as an internet gateway. There was an issue about Mr. Trump, the challenges associated with voting. As a good practice, ideally, as I had said, from a practical ITGC, which is Information Technology General Controls, users are meant to be trained, and we received an affirmative Excel sheet that indicated that this had been done at the county. The other question was, we report about the system IP address. I think we have clarified that in our report, that the system is hosted on off-premise. That means not within the premise of the county. The system is hosted out of country. That is a host pinnacle. We have provided the published URL in our report that is on page 4. We were also asked to confirm whether the system is secure. I want to confirm that we did an internal scan within the system, basically, which is some sort of vulnerability pen test within the system. And I can confirm within this sitting that the system as it is secure, and that was actually demonstrated by the logs that we printed, which indicated quite considerable number of failed attempt logins. The other question was, if you were to be the one setting up the system, what would you do? As a practitioner, there are guidelines and frameworks that we define that guide us on how best to set up the system. And we are guided by, of course, governance practices, the system value, the proposition, the return to the users, as well as good practice around security, resilience, and of course, data privacy. So I will make sure that all that aspects are inbuilt within the system, which is ideally what we were looking into when we reviewed the system. The other question was in regards to the MCA's phone devices, IP addresses. As I had said earlier, if the MCAs were using the system with their devices and using the local gateway, which is the Wi-Fi, they will all resolve to one IP, which is the outward-facing IP, which is ideally what some of the senates have addressed. And when we looked at these IPs, they are actually local ISP service providers, including our Safaricom, Airtel, and the likes. There is the question that was asked around system, if you are able to allow members to vote. I think I have indicated that you can only vote if you have the URL, and the URL, once you vote, it deactivates. So you cannot cast your vote twice. There was the question on whether this exercise was a joint exercise. I think I would want to answer that this is our report. Myself and my colleague, my senior information security analyst, Joanne, we sat here yesterday from around 4 to late in the night preparing this report. And I think it is our responsibility to sign the report. any other person had no obligation to sign it. They can sign it if they so wish. Otherwise, it was our report which we were presenting to the clerk's office. There is a question that has been asked whether IP 154.159.237.217 appears thrice. It is the same scenario. You can have, the architecture of mobile devices is when you are moving within the base stations, each base station has an IP address. So whether you are within the premises of a base station, you'll definitely have one IP address if you are on a different ISP, if you are on the same ISP provider. The other question was on ideally whether we can ascertain that the system has been secured. As I have said, yes, we've done a scan using our in-house tools provided by the ICT authority, and we can verify that the system is secure, as it has been demonstrated by the logs that are part of our annexes to this house. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I've... No,
Thank you.
There are some questions.
Now you've... yes, Senator Christo.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, listen, I only have just one question, which had not been answered. To the witness, I asked you just one question. I said, let me restate it. I asked, you have 33 people who have voted, according to the report. And you say that each of the votes cast are attached to a particular IP address. Some are in clusters, meaning they're identical to others. But can you tell us with certainty the geographical location of each of those IP addresses? If 33 people voted, where exactly did they vote from geographically according to the IP address attached to their vote, Speaker?
I will also allow Senator Omtata, who has difficulty with his card. You may now proceed.
Yes, Mr.
Senator Zena, you had an opportunity. Senator Omtata, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are having the expert, the authority, the expert of experts before us. The IC authority of the Republic should be the expert of experts. And listening to him, it's like he's walking away from this report. If we did not have adequate resources, like I'm looking at answer number 4, you answer using, you put the word no in capitals, yet you have qualified it that you did not have enough staff to give us a credible answer. Because as you know, if you looked at what the County Assembly presented, those logs, there was no audit trail in those logs. And I appreciate that you had a very short time, you have presented your issues here. So I'm trying to struggle with the evidentiary value of this report. That
Give the senator half a minute.
So, of what value is this report? And number 2, for lawfulness, we are told about .go.ke and .co.ke. As the regulator of the system, can a county government be allowed to run a system on an open server or a private host, or must this be on a government host? It came up during submissions.
Thank you, Senator Hazana. You're saying your question has not been addressed. Can you repeat it?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. The question has not been answered because I asked how come there were 3 MCAs who voted using the same IP address, and he has said that it was if one person is using their phone and moving around the vicinity into different locations, that it will use the same IP address. But this is 3 different MCAs from the code of the MCA. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, 5 minutes, conclude, witness.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll continue responding to the questions because I hadn't addressed all of them. There was a question that asked to whom the letter was addressed to. The response to that is the letter was addressed to our PS, who's the PS State Department for ICT and Digital Economy, requesting the ICT Authority CEO to nominate officers. Then there was a follow-up question regarding whether the report required consensus. Our response is no, because it is based on evidence that we have collected within the environment that we were working on. There was a follow-up question whether the system is valid. Yeah, I think if the system is valid and up to date, and the answer is yes. The system based on the scope and our surroundings that we were working on, yes, the evidentiary collected within the system are valid. There's a question that has been posed by Senator Omtata asking about the response to question, I think you mentioned 3. Was it possible for any MCA or any other person who had a link to vote on the motion on behalf of an MCA or another MCA? I have indicated here that the answer is no. You cannot vote for any other person, and I have qualified it. You can only vote if you have all the 3 parameters, which is the link, which was provided for by the county assembly, and then your unique username, which is the IPPD, and of course a password, which is obviously meant to be private and privileged information. To respond to the other question that has lastly been asked, it is what value is the report? I think based on the matters at hand, your Honorable Speaker, this report is meant to guide us. We are responding to the questions that were posed to the ICT Authority in responding to the allegations of whether the system is a secure voting platform or not. And based on the evidence that we have provided before this House, in my field, we base our conclusion on evidence. And that is what we have provided based on the logs, based in the presence of both parties, and we have provided this to this House. We have clarified issues to do with IP addresses. IP is a unique...
Witness.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just be very specific. Respond to the question by Crystal Asigi so that we end it there.
Yeah, so the question asked by Honorable Senator is, are we able to ascertain with certainty MAC addresses? I'll still echo my earlier sentiments that MAC addresses are unique to devices, and MAC addresses are mapped to IP addresses. You need to have an IP addresses for you to access an external facing application. And based on the configuration of the system, within the logs configuration, the logs have provided an IP address which corresponds to a unique MAC address. However, within the logs within that voting system, MAC addresses are not configured as audit details to be collected.
So you are not able to geographically place them?
You can, using your IP, and ideally this is where the confusion between an IP and a MAC address comes in. A MAC address does not give you an IP a location, but an IP address gives you an IP location. And that is why we have used the IP addresses to confirm that these IP addresses were within the geographical location of the county assembly, because these are base station IPs.
Order. Let the witness respond, Senator Hezen and Senator Crystal Asige. Just conclude, witness.
Your Honor, as I was saying, IP addresses gives you geolocation. However, MAC addresses don't give you geolocation. And based on the architecture of some of the systems we have, we only collect the outward-facing IP address. This basically means that that system is exposed to users outside. So you don't expose your internal IPs, but you expose your outside IPs. And the IPs that we have identified here are ISPs that belong to local ISP providers, as we have indicated, Safaricom, Airtel, and any other ISP within that geolocation, Your Honor.
Okay. So assuming the senators vote the way Kericho did, and they're all seated inside the chamber here, so they will still have different IP addresses. If they're all seated here, voting the Kericho way, will they still have, they will have different IP addresses?
So depending on if your system that you are using is a web-based system that has to be accessed online, and the way the network has been, there is a principle called network address translation. You assign a system an internal IP. Then you assign your gateway. The gateway, for example, is this door. You configure the system such that you say any requests that are coming outside have to pass through this door and go to port so and so. So that basically means when you are coming in, you will have this door as the log. It indicates that you've actually accessed this system. Then you'll go and sit at a certain place. So that is basically assigning an IP and a service to a system. So we will all have the same IP if it is an external-facing application that has to resolve using an external-facing IP address, Your Honor.
Have a seat, Mr. Witness. Now, honorable senators, we having had